promotional pamphlets, pretty girls from Jensen and Vero Beach, Lake Worth, all kinds of interesting Florida ephemera.
A copy of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland with the original Tenniel illustrations. But the neat thing about this copy is this is one of the Modern Library illustrated editions. This is from 1947, colored by Fritz Kriebel, who was a German illustrator and artist who moved to the United States, did a lot of work with the Limited Editions Club over the years. This one, I'm going to take this is the original acetate cover that is screen printed, not a label. So that's good. And it also has the fully illustrated cover. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Rare Book Cafe Coffee Break Edition. I'm Lee Linn at the Ridge Books in Calhoun, Georgia. And with me today, my co-host, Richard Mori of Mori Rare Books in New Hampshire. But where are you today, Richard? It looks like
let me think. 82 degrees. I think I'm in Florida still.
I think you may be. I think you're going to stay in Florida for a while.
Yeah. Actually, I'm in the middle of setting up at Renninger's, which is a big outdoor antique market. They do 3 times a year. I did the January show. I'm here for the February show. And it's always a nice crowd. Looks like we're going to get good weather today, tomorrow, and Saturday. Sunday right now is looking iffy, but we're here to sell books.
Good. Sell those books. And what are we getting ready for in coming up pretty soon?
Well, I think there's something going on in St. Petersburg. I've heard word. It's a rumor, but I think I can verify it is going to happen March 1st and 2nd at the Coliseum in St. Petersburg. And if you are into books or like books or love books or you want to give a book to somebody, the place to be March 1st and 2nd is St. Petersburg, Florida.
That's true. It's the Florida Antiquarian Book Fair. And today with us, we have a special guest. You almost could call him the godfather of the Florida Antiquarian Book Fair. Mike Slicker of Lighthouse Books in Dade City, formerly in St. Petersburg. Mike was one of the very first people I ever met when I began doing book fairs. And we are delighted to have him with us this morning to tell us what he's bringing to the fair. Good morning, Mike.
Thank you, Lee.
Hey, Mike.
Thank you, Richard. It's always a pleasure to be here on Rare Book Cafe, especially when we begin to talk about the book fair. As usual here at Lighthouse, we're going to take a little bit of this and a little bit of that. We'll have maybe a half dozen of the limited signed Arthur Rackham illustrated books. And of course, we always have lots of good Florida history. These are county histories: Hillsborough, Pinellas, Duval, and lots of good old Florida history. We like those. And always some illustrated books. And a smattering of nice bindings. And we love our ephemera, our promotional pamphlets, pretty girls from Jensen and Vero Beach, Lake Worth, all kinds of interesting Florida ephemera. Highway, wayside things, bus trips, what have you. We love the Florida Antiquarian Book Fair. We like being there. And I hope we see you there too.
Well, it's obvious, Mike, that you were bringing a wide variety of wonderful material to the fair. And we encourage everybody to come by Mike's alcove because he'll be one of the first ones you see right after you see Richard's alcove.
Yeah, I think he's alcove number 3.
Yeah.
And boy, those Rackhams are nice, I'll tell you.
Oh, those are beautiful.
I'm a little jealous on those.
Yeah. And he has some really nice ephemera, some Florida ephemera, and which a lot of people at the fair will have. So there's going to be something for everyone, and we are excited. And Richard and I are bringing something for everyone too, I think.
So did I hear you've got something special to show us today?
Well, I have a few things. The first thing, last one of our recent episodes, we talked about Alice in Wonderland, and I have with me today, and I'm leaving the jacket on because that's part of it, a copy of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland with the original Tenniel illustrations. But the neat thing about this copy is this is one of the Modern Library illustrated editions. This is from 1947, colored by Fritz Kriebel, who was a German illustrator and artist who moved to the United States, did a lot of work with the Limited Editions Club over the years. This one, I'm going to take this is the original acetate cover that is screen printed, not a label, so that's good. And it also has the fully illustrated cover. I don't know if you can see that. But, you know, these are the familiar illustrations, but they're beautifully colored. See if I can open to a page. Okay, for example, here we go. Here are a couple of the pages with the illustrations. Can you see those? Okay. So this is something I'll be bringing. A nice copy, just a few little chips on the cover, but other than that, in really nice condition. And since we were talking about Florida ephemera, I have some sheet music called Over the Sunshine City, a Reminiscence. It's by a composer named Frank Lawrence. You probably recognize, what do you think that is in the middle, Richard?
Well, I'm going to guess it's a nice illustration. Is that a signature? It's a little blur.
No, the big thing in the middle.
Something over the sunshine. I can't quite see it.
Well, actually, what it is Over the Sunshine City, but in the
okay.
middle is
a blimp.
blimp.
Right, I can see it now.
And the Goodyear blimp was actually based in St. Petersburg for a while. In the 1930s, it was the port city for the fleet of Goodyear blimps. And Lawrence composed the song after going for a ride in the blimp, describes the flight, and this is the sheet music to it. Let's see if we can get this open. Has the words in the front: far above the Sunshine City, over the $1 Million Pier, over the blue waters of Tampa Bay, we could see bathers far and near. The beautiful snowy white sands, that picture I'll never forget, the pilot, the blimp, and the hangar, the farewell to fond friends I met. And this is the music to those lyrics.
Oh, nice.
So that's kind of a nice piece of Florida ephemera. Dates from 1929, which is probably about when Goodyear started basing the blimps there. And as we've talked about having something for everyone at the fair, several years ago it may have been at Scott's, or I think it may have been at Scott's, which those of you in Georgia are familiar with Scott's Antiques. We found a book from 1894 of wildflower prints, and it was falling apart. The boards were off. It was literally falling apart, because I would not have taken it apart if it had not already been falling apart. You know, I think all of us in the trade understand that. But I did, of course, take it apart and matted some of the prints. And here is an example of those. Sure how well you can see that. The pink flower is a sweetbriar, and the yellow one is very common here in Georgia. It's golden ragwort, which a lot of people are allergic to, but it blooms in the spring and early summer, and you will see whole fields full of it. It is a plant that my father-in-law, who really liked native plants, but really used local names for them, called yellowtop. And out where his family's farm was would be fields of what he referred to as yellowtop. Another example from these are matted with acid-free mat board, ready to frame. They are not glued in. They are put in with little tabs, so they're not glued in. This is one of my favorites. The red flower is a Trillium erectum, or wake robin, and which is a kind of trillium that we find more up in the mountains than right around here. Blooms in the early spring. On the other side is cinquefoil, named for the 5 petals. And it's fairly common, particularly up in a little bit higher altitudes, but it's a fairly common southern wildflower. So
well, those should be very popular.
That should be. I have the inside matte colors are different, but there's probably 4 of several of the colors. So they would make they could be framed as a very nice display, and they're really pretty. So I know traditional interior decoration may not be the most popular these days, but some people are still kind of into that. And being a wildflower enthusiast myself, I just love those. And of course, being chromolithographs, the colors are just incredible and have held up so well.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I found this week, I can't put my finger on it because I'm in the process of unpacking for the show, but I picked up a piece from 1972 on the Keys. It's on plants and shrubbery on the Keys, and I couldn't find any copies online. So I think it's a very, very unusual piece. It's hand-drawn, black and white inside, inexpensively produced. But I think it's a rather unique item about the Keys and the wildflowers or plants on the Keys.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I'll look forward to seeing that if you don't sell it this weekend. And the last thing I have, it's really different and very specific, and it's going to take somebody who's really into this. Jesse Mercer, for whom Mercer University was named, was a Baptist minister here in Georgia. This is dated 1830, and he was one of the founders of the Georgia Baptist Convention, along with a man named Cyrus White, another preacher who was also a well-known Baptist evangelist in that era. White published a booklet about what he considered the scriptural view of the atonement. I'm not going to go into what his view was because, frankly, I don't really understand it. But Mercer at first did not comment on it, and people in the Baptist church took that to mean that Mercer agreed with him. Mercer did not agree with him and published 10 letters to White saying the points of disagreement. From what I could find out, Mercer's letters are more difficult to understand than White's original booklet, but they were first published in a Baptist publication, but then the newspaper in Washington, Georgia, Wilkes County, Georgia, published these, and this is the 1830 original publication of those letters, original printing. It's in a nice library binding. I purchased it at an AUW book sale, and here's except for foxing, it is in really, really nice condition and contains all 10 of the letters.
Well, there'll be some people who will find that quite
this
fascinating.
is really specific. You need to be a Southern Baptist who might even understand what it's about.
Mhm.
But it's an interesting piece. It's in very good condition, and something I'd love to find a home for. I actually sold it, and then the person had been a long time customer, and as his health deteriorated, he had asked me to resell some of his Georgia collection. And then he passed away, but the family had left all of these with me. So this would, of course, go to the estate. But anyway, it's a neat piece, and a nice piece of Georgia history, a nice piece of Georgia publication history, as well as religious history. So those are some of the things, and I'm packed up. I finished packing up the boxes last night.
Well, then you just got to get one of the boys to load the car.
Boys will load the car. Rest assured, I'm not loading the car, so we're ready to go.
Very good. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to seeing you and Mike and Alan, the guy we never see here.
Yeah,
Behind the scenes, and Sarah and everybody else who's going to be there. It'll be a wonderful time.
it will be, and not too long now. So we'll look
Not
forward
too
to
long.
it. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see a lot of you very soon in St. Petersburg. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.